Welcome to New Frontiers Unlocked, our webinar series. This is the fourth installment, fourth and penultimate, with the title Financing Exponential Growth, Capacity Building, Cash, and Technologies. I'd just like to welcome everyone to our webinar. Thank you for coming and hope we will all take part in these discussions. So have a look at our agenda. We will look at these, I would say, few items. I will speak generally on these things, but much of the specific information I would say would come from Tanniece's presentation. She will also be able to foster any, take any questions as it relates to what JMMB currently does for the small business sector. Not limited to small business, because I would say we're all big businesses. We may be small now, but we have a much larger outlook. So I'll be your host this evening. My name is Priestnell Warren, for those who don't know, and I'm the managing director at Frontier Business Advisory. So the objective of this webinar is again to really foster dialogue. We are not just consultants. In fact, we have what we consider an investment outlook in Jamaica, and I would say elsewhere, because currently we're coming live from Paramaribo, Suriname. And I was recently in Guyana, where we had business missions led by the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Albin Hill, and Jampro. Several other business owners are here currently as well, utilizing these opportunities to foster stronger ties within Caribbean markets. So the objective of these webinars are many. This one in particular looks to how specifically business can leverage their growth by looking at three main areas: their human capital, developing that capacity, right? Their capital, which is financing, and we usually are able to shift frontiers by adding a technological component to that. So understanding exponential growth. So if you think of exponential, when you think of exponential, you can always type in the chat, what do you think of? Because we want the activities here tonight to be vibrant. We like to have a discussion. So exponential is actually a mathematical function. I love mathematics, I love economics. If you have ever seen the E with an X just above it raised like an apostrophe, that is the exponential function. Now, the exponential function really works this way. Growth starts out very slow. You think of the coronavirus. Coronavirus is a good and bad example. It's a good bad example, if I should say so myself. It started very slow. You heard about an isolated case, or what appeared to be an isolated case. Nobody would have thought that a few months later, this virus would have moved exponentially throughout the world. So exponential, it's almost like a curve, takes its time, slowly, slow and steady, and then it goes like that. That's the exponential growth curve. And that essentially is how a lot of businesses have grown in the past and can put things into place to become exponential. So we'll look at these and other things as we go through this presentation this evening. So the importance of sustainable financing, challenges faced in pursuing these growth initiatives. So investing in your team. On this mission, there have been several dialogues, both with our international/regional partners, as well as networking with ourselves. One of these discussions would have started by saying, I personally does not think we have a labor shortage in Jamaica, because that has been reported heavily by a lot of institutions. The issue is, though, we have a skills gap. There's not enough on-the-job training. There's not enough students that are job ready coming directly from the universities. And you could say, how will they be job ready? A lot of jobs, I would say most jobs off the bat, ask, at least from the Jamaican context, ask for a minimum 2 years. So the conversation always stems from, how is it am I supposed to have 2 years of experience if I'm not ever given the opportunity to work? It simply means that companies, and I would say business owners that are here on this call, have to take a risk. Doing business is a risk. Not doing business is a risk. You have to be able to give opportunities to persons who are on the come up. Just like how we were given opportunities to learn and grow. So these are all things that business owners can actually look into in order to build their businesses. Strategies for capacity building, training and development programs, talent acquisition and retention, leadership development. These are all important areas. I use a story all the time. So without directly calling the names of the places that I've worked before, but I can safely say that based on my own experience, I've worked at one place in particular, and I think we were still not scratching the surface as to the level of training that we could have received. And when I use that place to compare with the others that I've worked, the training that I've got at Exhibit A for that duration I could put together in a basket the others, and Exhibit A would have still come out on top. So it goes to show that a lot of companies are actually not directly investing. I say to business owners all the time, you have to think of these things: building your capacity, paying for a consultant, paying for advice, paying for information. You don't see the value in information. We're in information age. Information is the new oil. Now, what if I was supposed to withhold information from you? A critical piece of information that you could use to drive business. Even coming on this mission, what if I was supposed to tell you that you could come on the mission? It happens in a certain time, within a certain time. You have to pay this amount of money, or you have to do this, you have to do that. But what if I did not tell you? So sometimes it's a case that we don't value these things because they're not tangible. But it's the intangible things today that can actually, especially in a service environment, that can actually help to drive your business growth. It goes without saying, after you acquire the talent, the best talent in the world, you will still have to engage them. You will still have to give them challenging work. And by challenging, I don't mean you're stressing them out unnecessarily. I mean give them proper duties that they can learn and grow. Give them autonomy to learn to make decisions. Provide guidance and support. And leadership development is a very important part of this process. Now somebody will say, but suppose I invest in them and they leave. But suppose you don't invest in them and they stay. Who here has ever heard the term, you're as strong as your weakest link? So do you want weak links in your team? Yes or no? These are all questions that we should look to answer as entrepreneurs. And as I said before, keep the chat active. We like to have these, discussions, especially once the meat of the presentations are finished. So cash management, budgeting, this is an integral part of any business. Cash is queen. Notice I did not say king. The queen is the most strongest player on the chessboard. So we will say we are playing chess, not checkers. So it goes to say cash flow management is one of the most important underpinnings of any business. A business can be making good revenues in terms of sales. But when you look at the cash flow statement or you look at the bank account is empty. One, they're not collecting on time. A lot of sales on credit. They're not collecting in full. And when they collect, the money goes out immediately to pay bills, or it is not properly utilized, or the reverse is true. You have a lot of cash, too much cash, sitting idle in a bank account. These are all things to consider when you are managing what is considered your working capital. You do not want to have too much. You do not want to have too little. Now, you want to know what is the optimized level of cash flow? You have to book a consultation with us. So, budgeting and forecasting, all of this is very important in how you manage your business. The heart and belly of your business is your customers who give you cash flows. Now, debt management and financing options. I will talk a little later as well, especially in the discussion phase, if time allows, on various financing options. And of course, Tanniece is also on the call, who will provide some specifics as to what JMMB currently offers. Now, leveraging technologies. As I mentioned, Frontier is really short for the production possibilities frontier, which is a growth curve in economics. So even our logo, it's a depiction of a graph. The first line on that graph is the first efficient frontier. All the elements on the first line, those are the most efficient. So consider a simplified economy that produces two goods, maybe cars and houses. So the economy on one end could produce X amount of cars, which means if cars are on the left, the graph will be high on the left and sort of low on the right. Now, if the reverse is true, you will have the graph coming down and sticking over to the right-hand side to depict that there are more houses being built. Now, in terms of a frontier, no other, in terms of a frontier, you cannot produce outside of that frontier. Now, I say all of this to suggest to you that the only way to be able to shift that frontier is to add. Let me hear it in the chat. Let me see it in the chat. Type it out. Starts with a T. Yes, it is. Technology. You add technology to power that level of new growth. So the second graph or curve that you're seeing there, that is actually the new frontier, the new production frontier that has been fostered by technology growth. All the other elements or production levels within those two frontiers are called inefficient. And I dare say to you, a lot of businesses, small and large, operates very inefficient. Now, there are new technologies out there for businesses. Cloud computing, we use some of that here. So if you think of things like a Gmail, for example, you use a Google Drive, you use a Microsoft OneDrive. Those are all aspects of cloud computing. Data analytics. Now, data is, if information is the new oil, then data analytics is the new gas. If you think of data, data is in everything we do. The apps we have on our phone, they're collecting our data. Google is collecting our data. If we think of how we do business these days, a lot of companies, a lot of data, hence why we now have a Data Protection Act, because a lot of companies have and do continue to exploit the use of our data, with or without. Well, if it's exploitation, I would say it's clearly without our consent. Automation. There are a lot of processes that are manual in today's emerging economies, not limited to Jamaica, not limited to Guyana, not limited to Suriname, for example. You find, though, that with newer technologies, proliferation of artificial intelligence, for example, the proliferation of these sometimes free-to-use software, they're quite affordable for companies of all size and shape. Now, if you think about it, we could easily take a free version of a software and utilize it as much as possible. And then once the free use, your organization begin to grow, or you realize that there are other elements. For example, I could use Microsoft Teams, I could use Zoom. You do have a free version, but the free version may not give you all the components that you need, or it will give you limitations. So it is not to say that it is all free or it is all good, because there's risks to all of these things. You have to look at the risk factor and manage those risks as entrepreneurs. So leveraging technology for growth, as I mentioned from the previous page, much of what I've said is that technology is the component. If you think of innovation, and technology isn't always information and communication technology. Technology is really just finding a way to doing something new. Something old, you can reinvent it. You can make it more seamless. So technology isn't just your gadgets. It isn't just the software. Technology is the way we find new ways to do things. So accessing business performance metrics, fostering innovations and continuous improvement, cultivating strategic partnerships and collaborations. Now, when you look at a business, for example, you want to do an initial public offering, or IPO, as it's more popularly called, you will find that in order for businesses to become listed companies, they have to go through it's almost like a performance trial. Now, I say to persons, Frontier was started to do IPOs or raise capital. Now, for some persons, and I know maybe a few are on this call, and this is a judgment-free space, of course, but I want to say to you, look at your business as an asset. Now, what would you do with an asset? You would try to monetize that asset. You try to protect that asset. You try to grow that asset. So if you're just comfortable with keeping your business as is, the cash flows are okay, you're paying the bills, and that is what you want, that's fine. That's fine if that is exactly what you want. However, if I think about the presentation that came from webinar 3, I would have talked about market dynamics and how economics work. Now, if the business environment that you're in is an easy market to enter, provides good growth, eventually, in the medium to long term, other businesses will enter that market, and eventually, the margins that you're currently making will get lower. So I say that to suggest the business environment is very dynamic. Now, if you fail to adjust to that dynamic, you will likely fail. So the only way to go, in my humble opinion, is to grow. So you have to now begin not because sometimes I believe at the expense of our performance, we tend to come up with KPIs. The KPIs themselves aren't the issue, but how do you manage them? How do you manage learning and innovation in your company? How do you form strategic partnerships? And one of our guests in our final discussion will speak to some of that in her experience. It will be more of a fireside chat setting where we will provide a question and answer. I will provide the initial, discussion questions, and then members of the audience can ask their questions. Because strategic partnerships, especially for small businesses, is highly important. And I say that with emphasis because the larger companies, in order for them to continue to grow and remain sustainable, they are forming strategic partnerships. And even companies in the same industry, like I am willing to partner with other similar business. The kind of business that is out there, we frontier by ourselves are not able to take on all these opportunities. So we have to form strategic partnerships. It's the only way we will be able to grow. And I always say to my entrepreneurs, think of it this way. Would you like to own 100% of zero or 1% of a high number? The choice is yours. So avenues for raising equity and debt capital, right? You can look at, beyond stock markets, angel investors, venture capital, private equity, crowdfunding platforms, peer-to-peer lending. You guys can type in the chat. What do you think these things are? If you already know, have experience using them, you can also share. No, angel investors, as the name suggests, they're really angels. They will come down to earth, come down to your level as a small business, as a micro business, as a startup, and lend you money. Sometimes angel investors will even lend companies money that have no business getting money. And I say that just to make the point that you could simply have an idea. You could simply have an idea. I'm not saying it is an easy way to get capital by no stretch of the imagination, because our markets, our capital markets within the Caribbean and Jamaica in particular, have not developed as yet, right? There's a long way to go. If you think of the United States, though, there have been companies that have gotten equity without an actual product or service, or good or service, I would say, right? Without making any money, without acquiring their first customers, that have gotten investors. If you think of the early start of companies such as Facebook, started from a dorm room in Harvard by Mark Zuckerberg and friends. One of his friends at the time would have been one of his first investors. A lot of early investors would have been his parents. Now, I'm giving these examples to suggest to you that sometimes your most early investors may have to come from internal sources, your family, your friends, your closest colleagues. Venture capital now, similar but a little different to angel investors. They will come on a bit later. They will provide your business usually now at a stage where you at least have what I would consider a working demo or a minimum viable product, right? They now will help your business to grow. And of course, they have to be looking at what kinds of potential return they could get from your business. Now, private equity now, they are the ones who tend to get a bad rap. And for good measure, because private equity, as the name suggests, is really getting private money from investors. However, private equity has a section that is called leverage buyout. So huge companies or a group of individual investors will come together, raise capital, usually from bonds or long-term loans, buy a company that usually have gone the nooks and crannies and is now declining, which means they buy it like an asset, like a stock that has depreciated in value. They buy up that company. They buy up that company, put the money in it, and then they usually lay off workers, cut the fat as they would, categorically call it, and then look to resell that company by whatever means necessary. So it is usually one of the areas that usually investors or usually business owners don't necessarily want to involve themselves with. Just to make it clear though, all private equity companies are not the same. No, the stock market is really public equity. So you have private equity and then you have public equity. It's called public equity because it's listed on a stock exchange that is usually governed by a set of rules. Now, the private equity space, if me and another individual person decide that we're going to start a company, that's essentially private equity. Other than making reservations with the company's Office of Jamaica, for example, or any other entity in another jurisdiction that registers a company, nobody will know about that company or the tax collector. But when you raise equity publicly, everybody that is an investor or even non-investors can go online and go on a stock exchange and see a lot of information in a company. And that is usually one of the drawbacks. That is usually one of the drawbacks why persons don't want to do a public equity or, a stock market deal. They don't want all that information to be online or in the general public about their company. Now, crowdfunding platforms are simply online platforms that individuals put small amounts of money together and invest in each other's business ventures. Peer-to-peer lending, another similar endeavor, where me and you and Dupree can go online and put monies and lend it to each other. Now, if you think of peer-to-peer lending, I could give a few examples. You could think of the system that takes place in Jamaica, and I'm sure they're similar, if not same systems in our Caribbean neighbors. Another one that I would call peer-to-peer lending again is, and I'll leave you guys a second just to answer that in the chat. What other peer-to-peer lending comes to mind? I would also say the partner system that we have is a similar peer-to-peer lending, because think of it this way. If you get the first draw, the second and the third, and there's 20 draws to be received, you would have actually borrowed most of that money. Now, we all know when that don't go right, but I won't go any further. And so that ends my presentation. Questions that you have for me, I will take them after Tanniece's presentation. So Miss Tanniece Coote, she is an SME Resource Center officer within the JMMB Group. With almost 2 decades of experience in the financial industry, she has developed numerous skills in key operational and financial advisory roles. This knowledge comes from her experience working in various roles, both from the operational side and the customer-facing side in JMMB Investments. Her passion for entrepreneurship and the desire to contribute to the economy has inspired her to start her own company, The Girl in You, which manufactures and retails affordable cosmetic items. This was her driving force behind her decision to work specifically with SMEs at JMMB SME Resource Center. In her current role as SME Resource Center officer, she provides coaching and support to small and medium-sized businesses owners to aid their growth for their businesses. Help me in welcoming Ms. Tanniece Coote. And during this time, I will look to share her slide, or if she has the option to share, if you have the option to share, Tanniece, you can go ahead and share.
The option is grayed out. Okay, it's now showing. Great.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. It definitely is a pleasure being here. Let me know if everyone is seeing my slide okay.
Yes, we are.
On seeing slide?
I am.
Okay, awesome.
So far,
Right.
so good.
All right, so I am elated to be here today to speak to you about capacity building. As was indicated earlier, capacity building is really about strengthening the foundation of your business. That's how I like to look at it. So it's the process of strengthening the management and governance of an organization to ensure that it can effectively achieve its mission and fulfill its objectives. So what we do at the Resource Center is what we set out to help our clients to do. For us, we have created an ecosystem where we work with our clients to help them to achieve their goals, specifically their goals, because what we do is we tailor it based on your needs. And some of the things that we do, or some of the methods that we do this by, is by events like this. So we do have regular JMMB SME Resource Center workshops. We do participate in other persons' events. We provide mentorship for our clients. So if you come in, you're a JMMB SME Resource Center client, and you say, okay, I have this project that I want to work on, we will literally sit down, create a coaching session that we will take you through step by step to achieve that goal. And for us, it's a work in progress. So it's not that we help you to achieve one goal and then we pack you up and we send you off. It's a work in progress. We work with you through the different objectives that you have for your business. We also provide our clients with business tools. So if you need access to business templates, cash flow projection, income statement templates, business plan templates, those are things that we provide our clients with. We, of course, also have targeted solutions that are designed to assist our clients. So for example, we are currently in the process of launching our accelerator program. And this is an 18-month program that is designed to provide targeted coaching and teaching to those persons who are selected. We do it in combination with UTech, so you're definitely getting professional training during this during these 18 months. This is our second cohort, and persons who did it last year, they left with a wealth of knowledge. We also provide what we do is we provide our clients with an individual assessment, which we call our needs assessment. So we want to make sure that we really get to know your business and we're providing you with the right solutions. And these solutions, JMMB solutions, we provide investments, we provide banking solutions, we do pension insurance, and we also have on board with us professionals who work with our clients. So these persons operate currently in areas such as HR, accounting, marketing, business development. So that is the basis of what the SME Resource Center does. And of course, how we work with each client is dependent on what it is that they need. So, hold on a second, I'm not sure something. Okay, so for what I would like to look at today are some of the drivers of capacity building, and Prisnell spoke about a couple of them before. Today, I want to just look at cash flow management, inventory management, and staff management. I do believe that those are some of the real serious foundation items that will impact your capacity building. So financial management, I won't spend much time on these things because it was said before. So financial management is investing in such a manner that the investment produces a higher return than the cost that you pay to get that investment. So you want to look at things like making sure that you reduce your cost of financing. So is it less expensive to get a bank loan, or is it less expensive to get a private investor? You want to make sure that the funds that you have available are sufficient. And this is where cash flow management came in, as discussed earlier. So you want to make sure that you stay on top of your cash flow, You know how much you're gonna need. You know where that money is gonna be coming from. And you also want to look at strategic planning and organizing, controlling your financial activities to ensure that you are on top of what is happening with your money. So why is financial management important? It is important because it helps the organization with its planning. It also assists in planning for the acquisition of funds. So if you are properly managing your finances, you will know from today that come year 5, I'm gonna need X amount of money because this is where the business should be, and this is how I'm going to get it. So from now, this is what I need to do to make sure that when year 5 comes, I'm able to access that money. And also look at how funds are allocated. If you have 3 projects that you want to be doing, is it better to put the money in project A, or will I get a better return from project B? It assists the organization also in making critical decisions and also looking at the profitability of the organization. It also will be able to provide saving opportunities for the business. So if you are properly managing your finances, then these are some of the benefits that you will get. So cash flow management is a big part of your financial management, and cash flow management really is just looking at monitoring, analyzing, and optimizing the total amount of cash that passes through your business. And I just want to share this quote. Or the statistics rather. It says that 82% of businesses fail because of poor management of cash flow. So you want to make sure that you really stay on top of this cash flow. And your cash flow really is, you manage it properly, you will avoid shortfalls in your cash flow. So this is where looking at your receivables versus your expenses become very important, because you want to make sure that if you're a business that operates off giving credit, for example, you want to make sure that you're not giving your client a 30-day credit, but you have a bill to pay in 15 days. You're going to run into shortfall issues. And so, well, Priscilla has spoken about a cash flow projection, and this is a old school version of what a cash flow projection looks like. It really is done normally for either a year or 2 years. It looks at all your income coming in versus all your expenses going out for the next for the period that you're doing the cash flow. So it will give you an idea of whether or not you are going to be in a position of making a profit or a loss. I also want to point out that it's very important not just to do a projection, but you actually want to monitor your actual cash flow and compare it to your projection to see if you are on track. If you're not on track, you want to make sure that you look at what is causing you to not be on track and adjust those issues. Don't have a cash flow projection and you just do an analysis at the end of the year. Do your monthly analysis to make sure that you are on target to achieve what you have projected. And of course, these are things that the Resource Center can help you to build out. And as I said, this is an old school cash flow. If you're using technology, you can use your accounting softwares that can do your cash flow projection for you much easier, make it easy to make adjustments to the template. So if you are maximizing your cash flow, what that means is that, as I said before, you're monitoring your receivables. You can also look at refinancing outstanding debt. So this is what we call debt consolidation. Maybe you have a credit card and you have a car loan or a home equity loan. Would you benefit from combining those loans and maybe getting a longer payment period, a lower interest rate? Because depending on what you're using as the security for the loan, you will have different interest rates. So when you do a consolidation and you are able to, if possible, get a lower rate or get a longer period, what that can do for you is that you can get a lower monthly payment. And that will give you some additional cash that you can put in the business, or you can put towards investing or whatever other objective you have. You also want to regularly review your expenditure. As I said, go through your cash flow every month, look at what is happening, identify areas that you can do additional saving, or if there are things that, let's say that when you look at your cash flow, you realize that product A is really doing well. You may now want to look at investing more in that product instead of maybe you had 3 or 4 products that you were keeping in equal amounts. Based on what is happening on your cash flow, you may say, okay, maybe I need to cut down on product C and buy more of product A because that is really my cash cow product. You also want to, as I said before, recalculate your cash flow on a regular basis and look at having insurance coverage. And I'll speak about this a little bit later. So the topic that most persons want to hear about, funding. So I won't go into detail because Prisnell had spoken about a few of them before, but the typical form of getting funding is by grant funding, which is free money. You don't have to pay it back, but a lot of times there are stipulations that comes with it. So for example, the Development Bank of Jamaica, they had a program the other day where they were offering grant funding, but it had to be used for specific things and you have to be a registered business. So there's normally some requirements around it. You have venture capitalists, you have bank loans, so loans, JMMB does loans. I'll tell you the different types that we have shortly. So we have loans, we offer line of credit, overdraft, and term loans. So just to give an idea quickly of how you can look at allocating your resources. So of course, you start with your business revenue and you want to always make sure that you pay your expenses. Pay your expenses, and then a good practice. I know it's a lot of times it's hard for most persons, but it's a good practice that you can start putting aside your tax portion from day one. That means that when March 15 comes and you have to pay over that big money to the government, you're not so stressed about where it's going to come from because you had your account that you've been putting that tax money in. So even if you're a little bit short, you do have some or majority of it. I encourage everyone to contribute to their pension. You also want to make sure that you're building an emergency fund, not just for your business, not just for your per individual self, but for your business. COVID taught us that it is very important for businesses to have at least a nest egg. So you want to make sure that you have some money put aside for the business. We recommend 6 to 12 months. Take your time building your emergency fund. The next thing that you want to consider is you may want to look at, well, there are 2 options. The last 2 options are interchangeable and it can be depending on what your business objective is. So you want to look at having business investments and you also want to look at upgrading your business. Do you need new equipment that can make you more productive? Do you need to upgrade your infrastructure? So really depending on where in the life cycle you are and what needs to be done, you can interchange these 2. All right, so how does JMMB assist our clients in terms of funding? All right, so one of the solutions that we have that really helps small business owners is the DBJ Credit Enhancement Fund. And what this is, it's an agreement that we have with the Development Bank of Jamaica, where when we have clients who otherwise can qualify for their loan, meaning that they can make the loan payment based on the returns of the business, but they don't have any collateral to give us, then the DBJ will stand collateral for them for 80% of the loan value. So the business owner does have to give us something, but most of the burden is eased off them because the DBJ will stand 80% security. These loans are normally for 5 years. The current rate is 13 to 14%, and it does have a commitment fee of 1.75 plus GCT. So what you would need to come in with to get a business loan from us, we need financial statements. So once again, making sure that you are using proper accounting software, you're passing your money through your business account so that we can get your bank statements and your financial statements in order to validate the income that the business is earning. What we have also is a renewable energy loan, and this is in the long term will work out to be a saving for the business owner. So we have the agreement that we offer is that if you own the premises, you can get a 10-year loan. If it is that you're leasing the premises, we go up to 7 years or the tenure of the lease. So if it is that you have a 5-year lease, even though we're willing to go up to 7, the loan will have to be for 5 years because we can't give you a loan for longer than we know that you're going to be at the premises. Going rate is 10.5% and the current commitment fee 2% plus GCT. And one of our newest loans that we have on the market is our heavy equipment loans. And this is for persons who need things like tractors and backhoes. Normally, these things were not able to be used as a security. We really looked at what our clients needed and we recognized that this is an asset for your business. It may not be the traditional asset where it's a motor vehicle or a land or a house, but this is an asset for your business. And so we have decided to use it as collateral for you. Current tenure is 8%, 11.5% is the interest rate, and you can get a moratorium of up to 3 months. So that means that you get a 3 months window that you do not have to make a loan payment. Also, to help you to manage your money, what we have recently launched is our business Visa debit card. Now, we are very proud of this because I believe there's only other one institution where you can actually get a business Visa card. And our card can be used online, can be used in Jamaican and US currency. So in terms of technology, and I spoke about this in terms of managing your accounting, managing your cash flow statements, there are few accounting software that I normally recommend to my clients. So I believe everybody knows about QuickBooks, but QuickBooks can be a little bit pricey depending on the size of your business. So there are a few others that you can look into that are either free or less expensive. There's invoicing, there's Zoho Books, there's Wave Accounting or ZipBooks. Right, so that is it for the investment part, the loan part. I spoke earlier about looking at investments for your business, and investments can be used for the business in terms of helping you to achieve your goals. So you, as I said before, you would have been planning, from 2024 that come 2027, you're gonna need a heavy equipment. So you're gonna need a tractor for your business based on what your plan is. You can from now start creating an investment portfolio that can help you to accumulate some or all of the funds. So even if you may need to take a loan from 2027, you may not have to borrow as much because you had your investment account that was earning some interest for you. So your investment account, funds accumulated in your investment account can be used to do things like business improvement. You can use it towards your marketing of the business, invested in your team. So you can have a program where you have a scholarship program for your team, or a program where you send them back to school and they're bonded to you for a number of years. Invest in yourself. You go back to school. You may want to go and do some specialized training. You can also use it, connect it to marketing, but investing in your search engine optimization. So you can use an investment account to help you to get funds to do things for your business, to help you to grow and achieve those goals that you have. Now, I spoke about insurance briefly earlier, and I know that a lot of persons, there is a school of thought that persons believe that insurance don't add value, but I'm here to tell you that it does. It shields you from potential loss, and nobody knows when an emergency is going to happen. And there are instances where an emergency can cost the business significant money, either by not allowing them to operate or that they are sued for money that they don't have and that they have to stop operating in order to pay over that money. So you want to make sure that you have insurance, especially if you operate in areas that put your staff or your customers at high risk. So some of the things that you can insure for, you can insure for professional negligence, loss of documents or data, unintentional breach of copyright, defamation or liability, loss of goods or money. And just to give an example, this is what our small business or smart business insurance can cover. Of course, it's totally customizable. You can decide what it is that you want to be insured for, how much you want to insure for, and premium range from as low as 65,000 annually. If you break that down into monthly, it's very, very affordable, and it can go up to 215,000, of course, as I said, depending on what you want to be covered for. So I also want to just speak briefly about our Vertex SME small private equity fund. So this is relatively new at JMMB. I believe it's been around for maybe about 2 years, and this is where we will be willing to take a stake in high performance companies. So companies that their current revenue is approximately 300 million. The minimum stake that we will take for investing in your business, giving you capital to build out the business, is 20%. And we also require that a member, or depending on the percentage that we take, that representatives of JMMB be on your board. Our exit strategy, so we're investing in your business for a time frame. We don't plan to come in and take over your business. It's normally either to do an IPO or to sell our stake to a strategic or financial buyer. So the next area I just want to speak briefly about is inventory management. And this is looking at how you order, store, or use company inventory. So having proper control of your inventory is extremely important. And once again, I believe we saw this in COVID. Managing your inventory is not only about how much stock you have or how many stock you expect to come. You want to make sure that you look at factors like your suppliers. What can affect your suppliers? Do you have multiple suppliers? And it's always good to try to have suppliers in different geographical location, because the truth is, if you have 2 suppliers in China and something is happening where you can't get your shipment out of China, you probably both will not be able to supply you. So you want to look at having alternative, having a plan that if you can't get your goods, what are you going to do? You want to look at things like spoilage, theft. Make sure that when you are calculating how much inventory you need, that you have those things in place. And technology also assists in this, not only in terms of monitoring, but with options in terms of how you can get your inventory. They are just in time has become very, very important to businesses. So some of the things that in calculating your inventory stock, you may want to look at your inventory turnover. And this is simply looking at your total sales at the beginning of an inventory period, plus the ending inventory, and dividing that by 2. So this will let you know how often you will have to replace your inventory. So you don't want to wait until you run out or you have the last 2 or your last 10 before you order. You would have a system in place to say, okay, this is when I need to start replacing my inventory. So, and finally, the final driver of capacity building is staff management. And research has shown that when you have a happy staff, that your business will be more productive. So you want to look at things like make sure that your staff have a happy work-life balance, making sure that they are properly compensated, and compensation can include providing them with things like benefits. You can take out a pension plan for them. At JMMB, we allow business owners to open a company pension plan where their staff can contribute, the employer can contribute as well if they choose, but at least they know that you are helping them to achieve or prepare for their future. You can take out a company health insurance for them as well. And of course, all of these are customizable based on your budget. You want to look at things like making sure that your staff are the right fit. Because somebody can do a job does not mean that they're the right fit for them. Are they happy in this job? Because if you have a staff that is happy in a job, I guarantee you will get more out of them than someone who is just there just because they can do the job. You want to look at making sure that you provide them with adequate tools. How can you help them to be better, do their job better? Are there separate areas of their business that you can automate? Are there CRM tools that you can help them to use? You can get for them to use to make their job more efficient. And lastly, you want to look at the leadership and company culture. So I spoke earlier of having HR persons on board. So if this is an area that you need assistance with, and you're a JMMB SME Resource Center client, of course, our HR partner will be able to assist you. Some of the benefits of making sure that you have committed staff, you get lower staff turnover, your customer service will be improved because of course your staff is happy and they're giving your customers a better experience. Fewer errors or accidents in the workplace, and overall you will see an increase in your business revenue. So those are just some of the things that we help our clients with here at the SME Resource Center. So if you want to reach out to me, my number is 276-9775, or you can email me at Tanniece_Coote@JMMB, or you can also send an email to our group email, which is SMEResourcecenter@jmmb.com. So that is it for me. If you have any questions, you can let me know. No questions?
So good evening, guys. Do you have any question for Tanniece? Thank you for that presentation, Tanniece. Right. So if there are no question, I'll ask a couple from my end. When did JMMB start? When and why, I would say, did JMMB start its SME Resource Center? And what are some of the immediate benefits of joining?
Okay, so I would have touched on the benefits before, in terms of getting the targeted coaching and guidance to build your business. The SME Resource Center was started in 2020 officially, and the objective of it was because we recognize that business needs more than just money. So yes, we are a bank and we give you a bank loan, but when you get that money, do you have the capacity to make sure that that money is working for you? So we wanted to have a center that provided more of the non-financial support, making sure that you understand how to run your business and providing you with the guidance and assistance needed to really make sure that your business is able to scale. So I can share back the slide to show some of the services that we offer. So we provide, as I said, business coaching, one-on-one mentorship. We have our workshops. You have access to business templates. You have access to business templates. You have access to our partners. We have a calendar of events, not just JMMB events, but every month we send out a calendar of events that is happening in the business space that we believe will benefit our clients. So it's really making sure that they are aware of what is happening in the ecosystem and be able to take advantage of them. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, that answers it. I think Venish has a question to ask you.
Sure.
As well as
You can go ahead, Akeem.
Hello, good night. So definitely
Good
coming to
night.
see you, Miss Wallace. I have a company called Eliza Care. What we do is dispatch practical nurses for home healthcare services. So I'm definitely coming in to see you.
Sure, no problem. Did you get my number? It's 276-9775.
1 second, please. It came up, but I just missed it. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead now.
276-9775. So you
Okay.
can give me a call and I'll set an appointment, and Prisoner can also provide me with your contact information if anything.
Definitely. Thank you. All
You're welcome.
right. Bye-bye.
And I won't, she's on the call. Because I want to take the opportunity to say to my fellow entrepreneurs that, this is a no judgment free space, Ask your questions. Don't ask me, ask Tanniece. And this is the opportune time to ask those questions that you have. There's no stupid question, right? There's all, because just like she mentioned, I asked, go ahead, Shanice.
Do you have to be do you have to have an account with JMMB to use the center? Like, how does that part work?
That is actually the only requirement that we have, for you to have your business bank account with us. We don't have to be your only business account, but we do require that you have a business account with us, because outside of the partners, we do not charge for any of the services that you get from us. The partners do have a fee because they work external to us, but we have a memorandum with them that you get a discount, which is a good discount of the service. So the only requirement that we have for you to benefit from the resource center is to have your business bank account with us. So you can also reach out to me, and I can, or if you can, I'm not sure, I'm not seeing the option to send a direct message, but you can reach out to me and I'll be happy to assist you to get the business account open.
Go ahead, no, Akeem.
Hey, Tanniece, quick question. I wanted to know if the JMMB SME Resource Center, if you are planning to have a convertible note option, an alternative to loans per se.
If you're planning to have a what?
A convertible note option.
Okay, well, that would not be the SME Resource Center. That would be JMMB Bank, because remember, the Resource Center is the non-financial side. I'm not aware of any current plan to do that, but and we're always open to suggestions, so you can always send in the suggestion.
All right, thank you so much.
Akeem putting on his financial analyst hat. Any other question for Tanniece? Well, if there are no other questions, I like it. Okay, I'm sorry. That's Mishka, Marsha. Not seeing the name properly from here. All right.
Yes, that's Marsha, I think.
All right, so let me. I'm seeing Dominique in the chat, but not sure what she's saying. All right. So let me, that would have been the question and answer segment. Now I'd like to thank Tanniece for her presentation. Right. We are very grateful here at Frontier. We are actually part of the SME Resource Center. We're one of their consultants. So we do refer a lot of our clients, or most of our clients, we actually send them to JMMB. And I would also say that JMMB is actually one of the fastest growing financial institutions currently. And they do have a customer-centric environment. I won't go into all of the details, but they do. So I just wanted to take the time, and Tanniece is very responsive as well. So thank you for sharing your experience, your insights, and a truly engaging presentation. Your willingness to share your knowledge and experience has certainly helped our entrepreneurs tonight. And for those of us who, for whatever reason didn't get to make it, right, the presentations will be shared. It will also be uploaded to our YouTube pages. We also now have a new website, Well, it will come up shortly, right? I think oh, so this was supposed to be the screen that was shown, right? Thank you, Tanniece. Right. Right. And the voter thanks would have been done by our Director of Business Development and Strategy, Miss Dominique Martin, but she's having technological issues this evening. All right. So we are located
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, man. Thank you. We are located at 22B Olive Road. We do primarily operate a hybrid office to our virtual or remote office, because here this week I'm working from the wider Caribbean. I'm actually on the tip of South America, right? My email is prieston@frontierbusiness.org. The general email is info@frontierbusiness.org. Dominique's email is dominique@frontierbusiness. And if you want to send an email to Easton, who does our accounting, it's easton@frontierbusiness.org. And as I mentioned earlier, our new website is www.frontierbusiness.org. I will also send it in the chat as well. You can go right ahead and click on it. We're also on almost every social media platform. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, and we're also on TikTok. Or Dominique, I'm sure Dominique will type in the chat the website. So our final webinar comes up I believe it's the first, either the first or second week. It's normally a Thursday of, I think Dominique could type that in the chat as well. When our final webinar come up, we'll take the approach of sort of a fireside chat that we will speak one-on-one to an entrepreneur, started our business during the pandemic and has excelled significantly well. Because what we do here at Frontier is not just to connect people to capital, but we connect people to people, and we provide real stories, because entrepreneurship, by no stretch of the imagination, is not an easy road. You need all hands on deck. So thank you everyone for coming out. I know there may be a few persons on June 13th, so thank you. So that's the second week actually, right? If there anybody, I'll give we do have a little bit of a leg room to maneuver. If there's anyone here that would like to plug their business, utilize this opportunity. We are big on networking here at Frontier. So don't miss the opportunity to talk about your business, to brag about your business. I say it all the time. Every day is an opportunity to talk to somebody about your business. The wrong persons will think that you're hype and you're just braggadocious. The right persons will be interested to learn more, how they can become customers, how they can become business partners. So the floor is open. Let me see if we have any takers. Going once.
Let me go first. I'm here, Prisnell.
Okay, great.
So first, I'm Venish Wallace again from Eliza Care. And what I do is that I dispatch practical nurses for home health care services. Oftentimes, we neglect the fact that, as Tanniece was saying, emergency do happen. Outside of an insurance, you have to remember that you're going to need somebody to care for you. A lot of time we're living in the time now where persons tend to want to live alone. Persons want to feel so independent. Therefore, they tend to just neglect the fact that they're going to need someone close to them. Now that's where my company comes in. We'll definitely allow you to have your own independence, but of course, in the event of an accident, a surgery, or anything of that sort medically, then we will automatically send someone in to care for you in your home space. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Venish. Yeah. So I presume that there would have been a line right after Venish where the other business owners on this call. No other takers? Going once, going twice. I like.
I'm up, President. I'm up.
Yeah, man, go ahead.
All right. So my name is Akeem Lynch, and I'm the managing director for Lynch and Marketing. And what we do is we provide agricultural produce, to hotels, to hospitals, and to other institutions. So that's what we do. And we specialize in fruits, vegetables, and hopefully soon eggs.
Sounds good, Akeem. Also, we encourage entrepreneurs to exchange contact details in the chat. So if there are no other takers, I would like to take this opportunity to just thank everyone for joining. I would like to thank, my business development strategists for creating such lovely slides. I'd like again to thank Tanniece for taking the time out from her busy schedule at JMMB Group to present to us. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming out today. Thank you.